When Denzil Meyrick sat down to write his first novel, the initial problem he faced was where to set it. It didn't take much time to work out that the place he knew best was the obvious choice, the glorious Kintyre Peninsula on the west coast of Scotland. In the latest novel, For Any Other Truth, the 9th in the million-selling series, a light aircraft flies low across the North Channel between County Antrim and Kintyre. Observed by a handful of locals, the plane crash lands at Machrie Airport. Both pilot and passenger have perished. But it soon emerges that both occupants of the stricken aircraft were dead long before takeoff. But let's go back to the beginning. In the first novel, Whiskey from Small Glasses, a rather world-weary, slightly dishevelled Jim Daley arrives in Kinloch, the town at the end of the peninsula. He soon discovers that policing in the country, far away from the resources of the city, amongst a tight-knit community suspicious of strangers, is a very, very different experience. Soon joined by his redoubtable Detective Sergeant Brian Scott, the pair begin their Kinloch Odyssey, which has so far spanned 9 novels and a number of novellas and short stories. For Meyrick, Kintyre is as big a character as any in the books. The people, the place, and the ever-changing weather are a huge part of the success of the Daley series. Reviewers often comment on the thrill of returning to visit old friends in their beautiful surroundings. Indeed, many have taken the long and winding road to Kintyre on reading about the adventures of a cast of characters that includes son of the sea, salty old fisherman Hamish, and his barmaid confidant and good friend Annie, who plies her trade behind the busy bar of the county hotel. As well as being compelling edge-of-the-seat thrillers, the books have become known for their strong cast of characters, lives, and often laugh-out-loud humour, Meyrick's trademark. For, thankfully, few exist in a vacuum of misery and woe. Every life is coloured by triumph and tragedy, sorrow and joy. And, as any police officer will tell you, without the odd laugh to keep spirits up as they face what often is the worst side of humanity, how could they carry on? Though the books are works of fiction, the warmth of the real people of Kintyre shines through. For here, poets, priests, painters and politicians have taken their first tentative steps. The place abounds with talent of all descriptions. Memories of days gone by kept in mind by story, song, sonnet, and the heart-achingly beautiful lament of the pipes. From its rugged west side, Kintyre affords views across the North Channel to County Antrim on the island of Ireland. For Any Other Truth takes Jim and Brian across the few miles of water that separate Scotland from the Emerald Isle. You can stand and look across as Islay and Jura loom in the distance, the last stop as the wide Atlantic stretches to America. Here lies the whirlpool Corryvreckan, where we find our intrepid detectives in peril in the second book of the series, The Last Witness. Take a trip to Blan, where the Shannons preside over calamity from their huge mansion on the hill, or the rocky bay in Machrie, where the body of a woman is discovered, bringing Daley to the place he now thinks of as home. From the bar at the county hotel, the rugged rocks of the west side of Kintyre, to its more peaceful, fecund east coast, Meyrick has used the place to reflect mood and action in the books, to paint a canvas. A beautiful summer's day turns dark and forbidding as a rainstorm blows in from the ocean. The cold frost of winter bejewels the landscape in glittering finery, or gales tug at trees, roofs, spires and folk alike. There is something magical about Kintyre, and Meyrick has captured that. It's something other, something that's hard to place, to put a finger on. But it's there in the books, as it is in the hills, valleys, pine woods, caves, coves, beaches, and broad landscape of the real place. Somehow you take a step back in time when you set foot on the peninsula. It was in Kintyre that the first Scots disembarked, not knowing that this land would one day bear their name, a place where Vikings fought, sailed and settled, where they stamped their identity firmly on a strip of land along which their voices still echo in the distinct accent of the locals. A place of sadness too. For many, including Flora MacDonald, who once helped a prince to escape his pursuers, the harbour at Campbelltown was the last place they'd set foot in their native land, as the Highland clearances robbed a country of its ain folk. The descendants still come to see this place and try and recreate the sad times that gave the new world life, and, in turn, eventually, gave the old one hope and deliverance from unmatched evil. For the dead of the MacDonald clan, betrayed and cut down at the Bone Field below Dunaverty Castle in Southend, it was Blan in those days, there is still a melancholy in the air. The massacre may be forgotten, but it dwarfs that of Glencoe for brutality and inhumanity, though some still will always remember. Many people made their way here over centuries, so too Jim Daley. Then to the wee town, Campbelltown, once one of the richest places in Scotland with its herring fishing, coal mine and many, many distilleries. It's the place Meyrick has used on which to base his Kinloch. The safe harbour, a haven for so many, for longer than can be remembered. Campbelltown is the real inspiration. The place where the author grew up and the place he still calls home, even though home is now far away. As Campbelltown Loch welcomes strangers, so too does its fictitious counterpart. Daley looks across the loch from his house on the hill to the graveyard stones that stand sentinel across the water. It reminds him of his mortality. But under the grey slate roofs of Kinloch, there is still work to be done. For Any Other Truth, available in shops and online, as a book, ebook and audiobook. Isn't it time you took the road to Kinloch?